You can see in front of me is an irregularly shaped stone. It's a chair, actually. The upright backdrop there is the Manitu. In front of it is a seat. I'm going to try to go in there. See that area? That is a seat that you can sit on. I sat on it. Pretty interesting. Have never seen something like this before. This stone pile covers several earth chakras. If you notice, my staff is in the ground, and there's a hollowed out area about 3 feet deep where pilgrims would sit. The life force is blocked by the stones because of an inanimate object. I rarely see them using such large stones to create something like this, but I guess they have to work with what they've got. But it's a pretty impressive stone pile. The vibe is sadly diminished, but still very impressive. Although this looks like a big mess, it's several thick stone walls that curve and move around in unusual shapes. They mark what landform feng shui calls dragon lines, lines of lightning strikes. And if we go up here, I'll look over here, we'll try to follow it a little bit more. You can't tell because it's dilapidated, it's thousands of years old, but it's still in decent form. Now, if you look there's a hollowed out center. And why is that center hollowed? And this is the first time I've ever seen anything actually like this. There's what I call a strike point. If you look at my other posts on my blog or YouTube, I talk about how there are strike points where lightning hits the ground and it's picked up by nearby energy lines that carry it to distant places. This is a classic example, and it's pretty impressive that they would create such a large structure to capture lightning and channel it into the dragon lines. Did they do something with it? I do not know. Coming up to the dragon lines marked here, a little bit farther down away from this, but if you notice, you can see farther ahead how they curve around. So they are very, very curvaceous. But what's really interesting is that there's like a valley between the two stone walls here, and I'm wondering if they marked the strike point here in the hopes of trying to channel that lightning force down along the drag lines. Also, again, very interesting. Don't know if that hypothesis is correct, but it's pretty impressive and knowledgeable these people had of earth energies, something that is so lacking in our society today. This is another large stone pile covering earth chakras. If you notice, Bill in the distance is holding a staff. Staff is in a hollowed out area. There are several hollowed out areas in here. And again, the life force is absorbed by animate objects. Inanimate objects like stone block it. When you block numerous earth chakras, they look to go to the nearest chakra, and because of that they can't find a home. It permeates the air and becomes almost intoxicating with energy. So let's just follow and hone in here a little bit more. We can see significant, pretty impressive. Correct me, there are at least 8, if not 10 or more depressed area. Bill is holding a staff next to a Manitu stone. I'm going to close in on it right now. You can see an upright stone in the ground, a Manitu right there. Pretty incredible that they would be able to detect that. They must have had dowsing tools or some sort of mechanisms to be able to gauge and interpret that. But again, pretty impressive. Another large stone mound covering earth chakras. Bill is holding the staff marking one of the depressed areas where pilgrims would sit to tap into the life force. This stone mound appears to be 7 to 8 feet tall. Pretty big, pretty big. There are several other dimpled or depressed areas on the other side of the stone mound. All right, there are positive traces or memories still left here that this was an incredible place. Energy vortices above the ground die out from contact with people that have the best intent, people that hunt, people that do bad things, who don't appreciate nature fully. However, things that form in the ground, such as spirals in the ground, that form what Brits call blind springs, what Americans call water domes. Water features are found as sacred. They linger and last much longer than stuff above Earth. I'm standing right now on a blind spring. So you can see my rods going around very voraciously clockwise. that is indicating that it's a very positive area. If I look above ground, it's still moving positive here. It's still moving positive. But if I focus my attention on the ground below, it's very negative. So there's what they call a spiral, a primary spiral, or even a geospiral that's going to the depths of the earth and sucking up water to it. Now, there are several energy lines here, but I've marked one here with my this staff here. If you look here, this staff marks one energy line, or not energy, a water line, or what Brits call them water lines, we call them in the States water mains. Now, if you look here, I was over here, I can say, is this blind spring more than 10 feet deep? No, it's not. It's a shallow blind spring. Is it more than 5 feet deep? Yes. So it's somewhere 5 to 10 feet deep. As a water dowser, that's what people always ask if you're looking for a well. They're going to say, how deep is it? And they'll get an approximation. This is 5 to 10 feet deep, and there are several. So we'll walk around here. I'll just walk around. You don't see anything here, but if I go here, you can begin to see there's one water vein there. If I keep going here, there's a second one. There's a third one. There's a fourth one. So 4 water veins. Very impressive. This was once a very sacred area. Now the life force, I don't really think can still get you very energized and also give you a mystical experience, but it's more of a healing modality. The life force is what energy healers work with. But anyway, again, this shows us that this was indeed a very sacred area. There are several water domes, or what Brits call blind spring. I think blind spring is a more appropriate term because it's a spiral that pulls up water from the bowels of the earth. All right, here's another stone wall marking another dragon line. And if you notice, Bill is holding the staff showing one of the dimpled areas. There were numerous dimpled areas in this marked dragon line, which I'm going to have to investigate to see if I can determine what's up. But it's interesting. I've never seen this before, never noticed it. So many dimpled areas in part. It could just be age, how the stones fell apart, things like that. But anyway, Bill found another Manitu stone, a small one, hard to discern. But these are the kinds of about the size of Manitu stones that are found all over the Northeast and in much of the world. We saw a few of them, but here's one that he found on his own. Pretty impressive, first time out surveying with me. All right, you're looking at a Manitu stone that over the eons has fallen over. It's just left of my staff, but it's definitely a Manitu stone within this large stone pile. It is an intricate stone pile, as is all of them. I imagine there are many more Manitus that have totally fallen over or almost concealed or difficult to discern, but just shows you how intricate these are. And I don't know, I got dowsing rods. I don't know how they were able to do this. All right, if you look closely, you'll be able to see a stone circle. We saw this walking back and decided to take a closer look. There's definitely an energy formation in there. And I believe it has something to do with processing the electricity from dragon lines into something more compatible or usable to life on Earth. But I don't know. I can't say that for sure. But I have a strong suspicion, and some other things I found here that perhaps over the next few years, I'll be able to figure out. But again, this just an incredible place with all sorts of things, and I imagine we're like missing a gazillion of them. Another wonderful day in nature with our mother. The lesson to be learned is when you see something in the woods that looks different, or explore and keep exploring, and sometimes you'll hit a nugget like we just did. We're walking back out. We did a circuitous route, and I come upon a field of consciousness, a stack 2. Fields of consciousness are in America's Northeast and Southern Ontario, with the hot points, or the main line, being between Utica, Syracuse, and Rochester. Syracuse being the high point where the Great Law of Peace was given, that became the basis of American democracy and the women's movement, and much, much more. I'm going to take out my dowsing rods, and you can see what I'm talking about, the vibe. This is going to be a positive clockwise spin, but I go right here into the field and look at the speed that I got with my dowsing rod. This is a positive vibe. This is a sacred place. I mean, we're pretty charged up from all the electricity of being around covered earth chakras and dragon lines and energy lines and all that stuff. But this is a field of consciousness and nourishes your soul, raises your consciousness, makes you a better. Some of the people that lived in fields of consciousness are Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass. Anyway, heading home. Bye-bye.